Hello my friends and welcome to episode 3 of the Tier List Tuesday show, where today we have a really interesting and different topic, where instead of looking at faithfulness we're going to be ranking the Third Age Dwarven characters in terms of how successful they were in their missions/goals in the Third Age. And as usual, joining me today are the same two co-hosts from last week. Firstly, Memory Troll. Hello my friend.
Hey there, great to be here again. I'm looking forward to talking about Dwarven history, Dwarven characters. It'll be fun.
Indeed. And he is also another YouTuber, so his links will be in the description below. Make sure to check him out. And also we have ChillingGarden. Hello my friend.
Hello again everyone, it's great to be here.
Thanks for coming on again. And I know some people are asking me that there are normally two other co-hosts as well, but we'd have to say that due to some personal things, some people haven't been able to make it for the last few weeks. So yeah, but they will be back maybe in the future or join in for the first time, but that's more to personal issues. But anyways, that aside, I think we get right into it then. And by looking at the list, firstly we have Gimli. I say, is it a pretty straightforward one, Memory Troll?
Yes, I would say as far as, we're talking about how successful these dwarves were in their personal journeys. And I would say as far as just overall growth and what Gimli accomplished throughout the War of the Ring and all of the stories that took place in Lord of the Rings and that character, I think you need to put him in the Valar category just because he was, obviously the Fellowship was successful in the end. And the goal was met in destroying the Ring of Power. And just you look at the story arc of Gimli, and it was a great personal growth and journey for him. And earlier in the story, especially with his relationship with the elves overall and Legolas directly, Gimli had that he had issues with the elves and Legolas, and as time went by, they became closer and were very, very good friends by the end of the war. And Gimli ended up going with Legolas overseas when they inevitably traveled west. So I think it's a really cool story arc for Gimli, and a very successful one at that. So I would put it at the top of the list.
Yeah, ChillingGarden, do you agree? I think pretty much. Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I think that his whole journey was pretty successful. Yes, he was member of the Fellowship that destroyed the ring. He also played a crucial role at the Battle of Helm's Deep, also at the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Yes, he had a great bond with Legolas, with which I think that he improved relations between dwarves and elves. So yes, I would also put him in Valar.
I think we have just done one of them probably more straightforward ones, but now I think to juxtapose that, we've got one of the more interesting ones, and we have Balin and ChillingGarden. Do you want to explain why this might be quite an interesting one?
Yes, Balin is quite interesting. Well, basically he was the member of the Thorin's company, which quest was to reclaim the Erebor, and it was successful. So that's one success of his career. But also he was also in the Battle of Moria, which he survived. But he went to reclaim Moria, which was unsuccessful. And I'm not sure right now if he was killed there or he died of some wounds. I'm not sure, but yes, that was pretty sad.
Yeah, I
And for
believe he
Balin,
was killed. I think he walked. I'm not sure, but I remember him being killed by an orc in some way. So yeah, I think it was in that diary that was written afterwards as well. And we see this in the Fellowship of the Ring. So
well, I would
yeah, go on.
I would put him personally probably in Mech, uh,
Interesting.
just because well, he was member of the Thorin's company also, and also he was in the Battle of Moria, which is quite honorable. So
Yeah.
I don't know, probably Mech.
But memory troll. But at the same time, he was one of the key figures and key dwarves into reclaiming the homeland in reclaiming Moria. I mean Erebor. Doesn't that mean he could be moved slightly up, or it's still him failing in the failure of trying to take back Khazad-dûm Moria? Do you think that leaves him in the mech category? What's your opinion?
Yeah, very good point. I think Balin is. I really enjoy that character. He was very, very integral to the success of the plight, the overall journey in the Hobbit, and Thorn and Company going and reclaiming Erebor. So you have to give Balin that credit and the role that he played there. Um, Unfortunately, yes, his story has a very tragic ending, and it's sorry if you heard. There's a loud noise outside. um, I'm. It's very unfortunate because of the way Balin's story ends. Because I feel for the character and I understand his reasoning and why he wanted to go back and put dwarves in Khazad-dûm, because for so many years dwarves had not occupied that great hall, and so he really felt within himself to go back there to the mines of Moria to take back that place for the dwarves. And unfortunately it didn't pan out for them, and orcs overran them. But and so for that failure at the end of his life, yeah, you can't put him at the top category. I would probably put him on the Maiar category, because overall most of the things that he did do in his life were successful, and overall the character of Balin, he uh he exhibited a lot of strength, a lot of courage. He was always a good companion and always had good intentions. So I would put him on the second tier, but because of the failure he faced at the end of his life, with all of the goings on there at Moria, he can't sit on the top tier. But I would put him at Maiar.
Yeah, so that is interesting because I'm thinking, I think if we put it into this perspective, if he had not tried to reclaim Moria, or maybe even if he was successful, he would undoubtedly be in the Valar tier, isn't it? Do you think that would be the
Yes.
case?
I would say that, yeah. I mean, I think other than the debacle that they faced in Moria at the end of his life, he had a pretty successful run before that.
Yeah. So ChillingGarden, do you think it could be, from putting into that perspective, maybe Maya could be a better shout?
Yes, I think Meyer is good. Those were very good points. Uh, yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
he at least tried to reclaim Moria, and I mean that's quite really honorable. So, yes.
yeah, and now moving on to Thorin. The interesting thing here, before I'll ask any of you, is that with him, this starts to put this into the equation. Is a character dying, maybe quite earlier than the actual death, count as technically a failure in their quest? Because they did die, but at the same time, you die for he died, but his ultimate goal was achieved. Erebor was reclaimed. So I'll pass this on to ChillingGarden. What do you think?
Yes, I think definitely dying in the battle or something is a plus point. Um, yes, I mean Thorin was very successful. I mean the whole mission and quest to reclaim the Lonely Mountain was actually crazy idea, I think, because Smaug was there, but hopefully the dragon was killed, and uh, also they won the battle of the five armies. Uh, so I think that Thorin could be um, probably in Valar or Maiar, somewhere.
Yeah, and I think for Thorin, those are the only two categories we can put for him, and Memory Troll. Which one then do we put him in?
I would put him on the top tier in Valar, basically because you just overall you have to look at what he accomplished, what he set out to do, um, the impact that he had on all of the events that he took place in, and the battles, the quest, taking back Erebor, um, the 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 victory of the Battle of the Five Armies for the opposition on the other side of the orcs. You know, yes, he passed away in the Battle of the Five Armies, but I still don't think that the dwarves, the elves, the men, that they would have won the Battle of the Five Armies if it hadn't been for the presence of Thorin and what he contributed to uh, the, like I said, the opposition to the orcs. And yeah, I mean, Thorin's just he's an epic character in Tolkien's lore, and I love how he changed over time, even with the way that he saw Bilbo, and he kind of had that. He looked down on Bilbo early on, and when he didn't really know the Hobbit that well, and even how he was able to change, and very similar to Gimli and his relationship with Legolas. And you know, these characters can have these personal prejudices against other individuals, and as they get to know the people that are different than them, that they can come together and see that they can really accomplish great things if they just set aside their differences and have a common goal in mind. And I love that about Thorin. And yes, he passed away, but it's very similar to if you guys have seen the movie. I mean, there are many stories like this, but like one that comes to mind is the film Gladiator,
Oh yeah.
starring Russell Crowe. Uh, you know, he goes on this long journey, overcoming many things. In the end, spoiler alert for the movie, but he passes away at the end. But his quest was very successful in what he was able to do, and it's very similar to Thorin here. I mean, I wouldn't say that just because he died that he was a failure in the end. I wouldn't say that. So I would put him at the top tier.
Yeah, and I think you've put a really good case for having Thorin up there. But now I think moving on to the next one, we have Thrain the Second, I believe. Unless I'm wrong, I think that is Thrain the Second. So ChillingGarden, do you want to quickly firstly explain who Thrain the Second was? Maybe for some people who may not know, and then go into what you think.
Yes, so Thrain the Second was the descendant or the successor after the Thor. Well, he was his son. Yeah, I mean, we know him from the movie as the character who was captured and tortured in Dol Guldur. But others from that, he was also the commander in the Battle of Moria, or one of the leaders in the battle, which was, well, successful, or it was a win for dwarves. But yes, I mean, actually, he had a quest to reclaim, or he went on the mission to reclaim Erebor, Lonely Mountain. But he was captured on the way there and brought to Dol Guldur, where he was probably tortured. Also, but we know that Gandalf found him there, and that Thrain gave him the map with keys to Lonely Mountain.
Yeah, and I think That's a good enough summary. We know how he ended up if you watch the Hobbit movies as well. But Memory Troll, where would you put him?
Yeah, Thrain was he just yeah, his personal history is kind of miserable. I mean, rightfully so. Being driven out of Erebor, and he witnessed firsthand the destruction and um, all of the evil things going on there with Smaug and what the dragon did, driving out all the dwarves. And it's just I mean, as a character and what he what he set out to do and things he did to try and avenge his father, but also um, he seemed like a very haphazard character, to where he may have had good intentions, but he always didn't know how to go about them the right way. And
Yeah.
he seemed like a character that never really thought things out all the way before he did them.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, and just if you research that character and things he was involved in and battles and whatnot, he never really got that far, and he ended up, yeah, uh, uh, him becoming a captive at Dol Guldur, and just kind of passing out of knowledge, and it's very tragic
Yes.
what happened with them.
So
And
what rank?
I would put him, yeah, as far as the rank, I'd probably put him at the bottom in the Alfred category, just because he never truly contributed much in a positive light. Maybe had good intentions, but he never really went about it the right way to to reach his goals and actually do what he was trying to do. So he faced many failures in his life. So
Indeed.
I would put him at the bottom.
So ChillingGarden, do you agree with that? Do you agree that Alfred is the right tier for Thrain the Second?
Well, yes, but I also think that, well, he at least fought in the Battle of Moria, and he was commander there, I think, which is a plus point for me. But I agree that I would put him either in Alfred or in Mech.
But
Um,
yeah, and that's an interesting point actually. Do you think Memory Troll, does that maybe change, or you think maybe that he, at the same time, he was a commander in that battle, and I believe even though there was heavy losses, they were successes. So they succeeded. So does that change it, or do you think Alfred is still the place to go?
I guess the question is, looking at this list as a whole, I kind of put Thrain at the bottom.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to put at least one character in each slot, I don't know. I totally hear that. I understand maybe giving him 1 point in the success category with his him being a part of the Battle of Moria and that plight and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I would still probably put him at the bottom. It's a tough one.
I think Alfred, for the time being, I think we can put him there. I think that's reasonable. But Memory Troll, talk to me about Dane Ironfoot, a really interesting character.
Oh yeah, I mean, good grief, Dane is he's a really cool character. I would probably put him at the top, and it's kind of hard to nitpick what he did in his life and see anything that would be significant in the failure side of things, to where he would probably end up lower on this tier list. I probably would put him at the top. I love his involvement in the Hobbit story and how he comes in and he's a part of the Battle of the Five Armies. The way he comes in and he seems he's very, very loyal to his his race, his people. He seems like a leader that's always trying to do the best thing for his people. Because I believe at the time, so when Thorin passes away and the mantle of Erebor and that kingship, it falls to Dane at that point. I think I'm pretty sure at the time that Balin wants to go, and when Balin wants to go on his quest back to Moria and take over that area for the dwarves, that I'm pretty sure isn't Dane opposed to that? Doesn't Dane try to keep Balin from doing that?
And give that
I
wise
think so.
wisdom. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, have that wisdom
And
not to go.
so Balin felt in his heart that he needed to go and take back Moria for the dwarves. But yeah, Dane was wise in that sense, because Dane tried to keep Balin from doing that, because Dane was aware of the dangers that were down there in the Misty Mountains. So I think as a leader, he was a good leader. He was loyal to his kind. He exhibited wisdom. And overall, I would say he's a very successful character.
Yeah.
And he has a great story and a great personal history. So I'd put him up at the top.
Yeah, and I think this is ChillingGarden, if you can agree. We'll just move on to the next one. This is one of the ones that we can basically confirm in Valar, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to point out one thing that was in the movie is different, but actually Dane Ironfoot was the one who killed Azog, and it was in the Battle of Moria, or a Battle of Azanul-Bizar. I think that he actually killed Azog.
Yep.
In this battle.
Yep.
Which was
that's right.
huge, and he was actually very young at that time. So yes, and he actually fought at the Battle of Dale during the last war against the Sauron, but he sadly died during this battle. But yes, I definitely think that he should be in the Valar. I think this is the right pick.
Yeah. I think we can just put that one to bed. But now, the next interesting one, ChillingGarden, we have Philly and Killy, so two characters in one, because I thought that would be an easy way. So, where do we put them?
Well, they were members of the Thorin's company. That's at least something. But really, in comparison, for example, to Dane Ironfoot, I don't think they achieved that much during their life. There were also they died in the Battle of Five Armies on the side of Thorin Oakenshield, but I would probably put them in Mech.
Mech?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Memory Troll, do you agree with this? Do you disagree with that? Do you think that would be a right rank for them?
Yes, they should probably go in either Maiar or Meh. They were very, the dwarves. Many of the dwarves in the Legendarium, they're very loyal to their kind, and these two dwarves were extremely loyal to their uncle Thorin, and they were willing to go to the ends of the world for him, and they did. They went all the way to Erebor. They were, unfortunately, they died along with Thorin in the final battle in The Hobbit. But, loyalty is a very good attribute to have. And especially in these stories that Tolkien wrote. And it's important for there to be characters like Fili and Kili that bigger players, bigger characters in the stories can rely on. And I because of their loyalty to Thorin and what they were willing to go through and lands that they were willing to traverse and everything, I just
But But I think
I don't
for
know.
our rule of having one in each tier, I think this is the one where you might have leeway and maybe put them in meh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because they never did something outstanding like these other characters, especially the characters that we have on the Volar category. Um, Feely and Killy, yeah, we really can't say they did unbelievably amazing things, but so because of that, I would put them lower on the
Yeah.
list. But yeah, meh is fine with me. I agree with that.
So, indeed, I think maybe that can be the one that we touch upon again at the end. But now you might be wondering, viewers at home, why we have two Thorns on here. Well, we actually have a character called Thorin the First. So this Thorin here, hello, this one will be Thorin the First. This Thorin here is Thorin Oakenshield. So, who was Thorin the First? If some of you may not know, I think technically he was the first king under the mountain in Erebor, and yeah, he reigned for about 200. I think he lived to around 254 years old, and yeah, really, he was king of Durin's folk, and yeah, I think the main achievement or maybe thing is him moving to the Lonely Mountain and creating this. I know later on afterwards he did leave the Lonely Mountain again and go, I believe, to the Grey Mountains, but overall, you could say he's technically one of the first kings under the mountain. So, Memory Troll, what do you think of this one?
Because of what he did in the sense of being the first dwarven king to occupy Erebor, I think because of that fact about him, he should be in the top two categories. But I would probably put him on the Maiar level, just because he's not a character of legend like these other characters that we've put up there on the top tier. He's not as well known in the lore, and he never had a role in one of Tolkien's major stories.
And I
so
think, wait, if you let me
I would,
come in real quick, I think the reason that is because after he did go to the Lonely Mountain, he founded it, or a few years later, he just left and went to the Grey Mountains to be with his family, to be his brethren, and then maybe if maybe
yeah,
something happened afterwards, he might be in the legends, maybe that maybe even put him into the Valar tier. But continue, my friend.
yeah, I would go with, personally, I'd put him at Maiar. I don't know. I don't think he necessarily deserves to be on the same level as Gimli and Thorin and Dane. So, but yeah, ChillingGarden, what do you think?
Yes, I agree. I mean, there is not much about him in the books that we know, but yes, I agree that just because of the fact that he was one of the, I think he was the first king of the Lonely Mountain, was quite of success, or it was significant. So yes, I agree. Maiar is good.
Yeah, and I think that one fits him quite well. But finally, ChillingGarden, we have Thor. So quickly, where would you put him?
Well, I think Thor was actually very unsuccessful
Yeah.
in his career. Um, well, it starts with him leaving the Grey Mountains and basically becoming the king of the Lonely Mountain. I think that's the beginning of his journey. But he lost his kingdom under the attack from Smaug. So that's one loss. They had to flee then to Blue Mountains, which we also know from the movies. But then he went to Moria with some craziness, I don't know. But he just arrived at Moria like he's heir to the Khazad-dûm. So he just walked in there, and basically orcs and other creatures that were there basically just killed him.
Yeah.
And
I think all you're saying is pretty much circling around here. I think one thing is memory troll. You are the king that lost the Lonely Mountain. Do you think that has a major role to play? That statement alone.
Yes, that's a huge negative aspect to him. It very well could have been another dwarf in that line. Smaug just happened to come in and take over the mountain when Thror was the king. But you look at all of the fallout from that and what Thror did as a leader when his people were forced to leave Erebor. Thror, he doesn't even seem like he was that good of a person, really, because even when he was before the presence of the dragon, if the things that we do know about him, he seemed to be very greedy, and he loved the lavishness of being king, the gold, the Arkenstone, all of the material things that he possessed. He almost seemed to be that kind of a person that loved the things that he possessed more than the people around him. And so, and basically, the dragon sickness, and so, moving on from the mountain and all of the things that he and his people dealt with after that, he still seemed to be a very, very weak leader. Because at one point, he abandoned his people. Because he ended up leaving them, and that's when the orcs ended up getting a hold of him, and Azog killing Thror. So it's unfortunate. All of the different mental things he had to deal with. I mean, that would be extremely tragic to have a dragon come in and take your home away from you. But
it's what you do after
that. What'd you say?
It's how you respond to that, and that maybe defines a true character.
I know. Yeah, it seems like Thror's character was tarnished, though. Yeah, even before the dragon, and then when he was really tested as a leader and a king, and even just on an individual level, he couldn't deal with it. He didn't know. He didn't have the inner strength to deal with any of that stuff from what we know about him. So yes, he definitely had some problems, and I would put him at the very bottom because of that.
Yeah, and I think that just about wraps up. But I think indeed we can leave coincidentally father and son at the bottom, but grandsons at the top. Maybe that's a good way to summarize this tier list. But I think please let us know in the comments below. Do you agree with this tier list? What do you disagree about? Please let us know. And that's just about it. Thank you, first of all, Memory Troll, for coming on. As usual, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, my friend. Great to be here.
Yes, truly a pleasure. And thank you to ChillingGarden as well.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
And we will see you guys next week.